Gangs. The word alone can strike fear into the lonely wanderer at night. There are many preconceived notions about gangs and gang activity, but most of our perceptions come from the way our media portrays them.
Their influence in our daily lives is generally very limited. However, the media is quick to emphasize the gang's means of authority in a rare story about robbery or, even rarer, about murder.
Often, though, we neglect to take into account all of the factors and influences that are the driving forces of gang life.
In our travels to the continents of Europe, Africa, and South America, we have researched these external forces through observation and personal interviews, giving us insight on the matter from many different perspectives.
In our searching, we have discovered many different factors that play into the character of a gang member and the gang community. One of these factors being the influence of immigrants on the social climate, as well as our own American influence on the development and activity of gangs.
All in all, we have come to the conclusion that there is a strong disparity between the entrapments that gang-influenced environments can impose and the conscious decision to join in these activities for reasons other than need.
But it is important to emphasize this distinction, to recognize that not all gang members are bloodthirsty, money-hungry menaces in our society as the media often portrays them.
In this presentation, we will strive not to decide whether or not gang members are positive or negative to our society, but rather to define that line in hopes of eliminating the widespread generalizations of gang life.
Of course, crossing by different graffiti in different areas, that's another thing that pops into, I think, our heads, like, is that gang related? We're so familiar with that, but one thing I seem to have learned more is that my stereotypes about a graffiti being gang related don't necessarily fit to the ports we've seen. That maybe it's more politically motivated graffiti, or it's more of a norm of acceptance here to how to express your dissatisfaction. Whereas in the U.S. we see graffiti and we associate that immediately with gang.
Well, when I hear the word gang, the first thing that comes to mind are American-style gangs.
But when I was growing up, the thing that came to mind was tire tools and drugs and all of the bad things, and so, I think that this is the typical idea, and this is what the media has presented us with very much, is that gang members are some sort of an underbelly of society and evil.
But I think, the technical or real definition of gang is a group that's organized around profit, essentially, through illegal means. And typically gangs are run by individuals in their 20s, early 30s, and they often use younger kids to carry through with organized crime.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing that I don't know that much about it, because it means it's not really a prominent part of life.
Activity at all?
Not really.
No.
Not really. Yeah, but outside here, I've witnessed it right on live.
Yes.
Yeah, in Accra especially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pero nunca con un arma. No, nunca. La gente no tiene armas aquí. A mí me han robado. Por la noche a mí me han robado, sí. Una vez por la noche me robaron. Iban con 2, 3 amigas y pasó una moto y nos arrancaron el bolso, pero primero nos empujaron, caímos las 3 al suelo y se llevaron mi bolso. Una rabia. Pero nada más, nada más.
A bit, because when I was a child, I used to see them with big guns, and I knew that wasn't for me, that kind of job, illegal job.
We're filled with so much hatred, the kids don't stand a chance.
Most kids who are in gangs aren't in school, though. They're dropping out, they're outside that network. They're only in school to the extent that can further their career within that gang operation, because it is a network that's profit driven, essentially. A lot of times kids in those networks are very guarded. They're not likely to engage in deep conversations about past wounds or hurts that they have. They don't have necessarily the skills for talking about those situations. The skills they've learned is street skills for surviving within a very rough and harsh environment.
This is raw all across the board. Liquid sword chamber. If it's coming from my jaw.
I would think that a main way in which they differ is that they have the corruption in the police is so large, it's so big that they tend to work together with the police sometimes, especially in the drug trade. There was a major case 2 weeks ago in the province of Santa Fe, where it was the main police commissioner for the whole province was arrested on charges of having worked together with the criminal cocaine dealers. And that, I think that it's very different from the way it is seen in the US, where federal agencies and local agencies work very hard to destroy gangs, whilst in Argentina, even though there are federal agencies that work against gangs, they might be heavily infiltrated, much more so than they would in the US. Okay.
Obviously, they always were trying to help in a certain way.
And so you think that's why they became kind of accepted in the neighborhoods, because they were helping the poor people?
Quite probably.
No, y sí que hay bandas. Lo que pasa que hay bandas para robar, que entran en las casas y roban, pero no matan nunca.
It depends, of course. In some cases, the gang group is the popular group as well. They get a lot of they have high self-esteem. They have a sense of place and purpose within the school. It depends how the school norms and structures are that individual gang members can be very high on that status hierarchy.
I think Argentine gangs are much more influenced by Central American gang culture, Mexican and Colombian, but also foreign factors, for example, cocaine coming from countries like Colombia and Bolivia, and how easy it is to immigrate, which is a good thing. Immigration is good, but in the case of gang, it also allows for people like La Muerte, Mi Sangre, which is a Colombian dealer who was just arrested here last week, who just got into Argentina, bought a house, and was running his Colombian gang from the Argentine. And from here, he could bring Colombian tactics and use them in Argentina to recruit people from the slums. Okay.
Piensa que las bandas en España tienen una relación a los de los Estados Unidos. No hay una influencia.
No, nada. ¿Qué va? No. Son gente, y normalmente también son de aquí de España, pero normalmente son gente de Sudamérica, que necesitan dinero.
Sí, necesitan emigrar a España.
Sí, exacto, que emigran aquí, se piensan que llegar a España es el cielo, y no es el cielo porque no hay trabajo. Vienen sin papeles, no son legalizados, y roban.
Sí.
Quieren comer, roban, pero no matan. La gente no mata.
I don't worry too much about gang activity here. As you've seen, there's more of kind of like a hippie vibe here. As far as Spain, I've run into some bad things more with immigrants than with like a formed Spanish gang.
Okay.
In Madrid, Barcelona, in Paris as well, in France, there are a lot of Senegalese. At least this is my opinion. A lot of people from Senegal and from Algeria. And I've encountered some aggression from them towards other people, towards tourists, towards the Spanish, but I haven't really seen a formed gang system.
Okay.
Just this aggression from the mixing of cultures, I guess, is what you could say it.
Interesting. And would you...
Of course, definitely. The moves are always in our life, so... But trafficking exists anywhere, not only in Rio.
So you
but
think,
influence.
Like the dress and what they do and the music they listen to, do you think that stems from American culture? Or is it their own?
Yeah, a kind, just a bit. Yeah, just a little bit.
They tend to dress with baggy clothes, which is also something I would, in my mind at least, relate to U.S. gang culture, but I think it's much more endogenous, much more Latin American gang culture as opposed to a U.S. gang culture.
And I try so hard, will always be a victim of these streets.
Yeah, basically the major cause of that was the rural urban drift. You have a lot of young guys coming from the rural areas, coming to Accra for non-existent jobs, and they get there and they are economically hard up, they don't have anything doing, and they end up engaging in some of these violent crimes for survival. So basically that is the cause, and then there could be other causes which results from family breakdown and a lot more, and school dropouts and all of that. But thank God somehow it's been going down.
La comunidad tiene miedo.
Sí.
Tiene miedo porque las cosas económicamente en nuestro país está mal.
Sí, sí.
Hay mucho paro, o sea, quiere decir que hay mucha gente que no trabaja. Hoy he leído en el periódico que hay un 35% de personas que no tienen trabajo. Es mucho, porque no solo el 35%, después están los niños, después está la gente mayor como yo, que estamos jubilados.
Sí.
Quiero decir, es muy fuerte que el 35% de la población no tenga trabajo. Claro, la gente cada vez tiene más miedo.
I mean, certainly poverty is a huge issue, and isolation from opportunity within a society for economic gain. And if you have intergenerational chronic poverty, chronic economic deprivation, you have conditions that are ripe for gang formation.
It is certainly an effect of the environment. I would say that more so than the environment, it is the socio-economic state of the people, also of the families of these kids, and the opportunities that they see in their lifetime.
I have some friends that they enter in this life because they really wanted to do it, because they had parents, they have a good education, and they choose it on themselves. You know?
Okay.
I think it's like optional.
I think in Argentina there are very strong external factors. I think poverty is a very strong factor in gang life, especially if you think the main gangs are in the slums.
And what I found from my experience was it was a lack of family, and I don't necessarily mean mother, father, brother, sister. I mean family, group, and a sense of belonging. And that's what they were able to find with the gangs, and that's what they were looking for, a nurturing. And it seems like, that to have people that would want to be gang members would seem like a big macho thing. But actually, in my experience, I found just the opposite. It was, I want somebody to care about me thing.
From the skies to be recognized, I'm keeping my eyes on the people, that's the prize.
Since the police came here, the gangsters, they gone out from the comunidade. The drugs or all the stuffs involved by gangsters has been finished. Thank goodness.
Any of that in Accra?
Accra is the capital of Ghana, as you know.
Yeah.
And it's one of the big cities in Ghana. And like any other big city in the world, you expect the gang life to be ripe, yeah. And there are special places in Accra that before you could not pass there at night because of this gang life. You might be attacked either by knife, and your property is taken away from you, and you might get injured or in the process as well. But now it is not as before, because the current government has been able to equip the police some more with some logistics of crime fighting and all of that. So there has been a dramatic reduction in gang life in Ghana.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have traveled the world in search of an answer to our question. Are gang members a product of the environment in which they live? The environment that grants little opportunity and hope? Or is joining the gang life a choice, a decision made by the internal desire to belong? Well, we have asked our question.
And we have received many answers. For some, it is a choice. For some, joining a gang means joining a community, one that commands power and authority, often through crime and terror. But for so many, membership into a gang can mean survival. For them, joining a gang is a last resort, a crying plea to feed and clothe oneself, or maybe even their children. One question,
many answers.
We all have our preconceived notions
of what gang life is all about.
But how do we really know?
Maybe we should imagine walking in their shoes
before we scamper off in fear.
Maybe we should save our judgment
until we understand their motivations.
Maybe we should take a step back
and see these people for who they are,
not what they do.
Maybe,
just maybe,
we can all live together as one big gang.
Hopeful, yes I am hopeful for today. Take this music and use it, let it take you away, and be hopeful, hopeful, and he'll make a way. I know it ain't easy, but that's okay, cause we hope.
You're just asking me, are we all people? Yes, we're all people.
I wish I could teach the world to sing, write some music and have them tripping off the joy I bring. I wish that we can hold hands, listen instead of dissing lessons from a grown man. And now